This is Pod Populi, podcast for the people.
Let me remind you of the mission objective of the No Fallen Heroes Foundation is to not exist. I don't get paid from the foundation. Susie doesn't get paid. Nobody gets paid except Kat and Matthew. A grand or two a month as our ops assistants when they work. Nobody. We had to get rid of our only full-timer because it doesn't make economic sense. The money needs to go to people that are healing. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome aboard the Max Afterburner podcast, sponsored, powered, brought to you by the No Fallen Heroes and Maverick Mind universe. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a minute. It's been a while. Hell, it's been a while since you've gotten a solo Whiz, so everybody get excited, right? You ever see that meme? It's like, I'm giving my opinion for Christmas. Everybody get excited or something like that. Anyway, man, we have a lot to talk about. Incredible stuff going on. This was supposed to be a 3-ship podcast with our chief medical officer, Rosie, and kid, Chris Proven. But they are down at Pompano like a standard Tomcat crew, troubleshooting an aging jet. So Rosie and Kid are going flying in the L-39, our No Fallen Heroes L-39. I think Rosie said it's the first time in a tactical jet in a while, maybe 10 years. She said digging out the flight suit from the boxes in the attic type of thing. But they're troubleshooting a comm issue, an ICS issue, so they can talk, and they've been troubleshooting for like an hour, and they found the problem. Rosie found the problem, and now they're going to blast off. So they originally blasted off early landing, and we were all going to have a podcast together, but I'd rather my kids go flying in the jet. Rosie deserves it as our chief medical officer and doing some incredible healing work in the Northwest, the Pacific Northwest. She's our OIC debt OIC out on the West Coast, and then Kid getting current in the L-39 and getting some time. We're having our squadron Christmas party tomorrow night, so another reason that Rosie's in town. Really looking forward to seeing our supporters from this year, and just an incredible year, man. Highs, lows, I'm thankful for them all. I'm thankful for my suffering. I'm thankful for the lows because they propel us higher. We have a lot to cover in a short amount of time. Let me start with, I'm torn on this one. Let me start by being happy about it, right? 2-3 weeks ago, the VA said, we're going to fund a study on psychedelics. Holy shit, golf clap. Happy days are here again. It's $1.5 million over 5 years. What? The United States federal government spends $6 million every minute. That's 15 seconds of funding spread out over 5 years. Again, I'm going to stay centered. Namaste, Basi. It infuriates me. Take the little victory, Whiz. It's the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. How do we eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Fucking yada, yada, yada. I get it. I believe it's a little bit of, they can find that money in their couch, the VA, not just the federal government. I'm talking the VA. So the cynic in me, since I've been doing this for 4 years-ish, is it's a little bit of a, let's keep the psychedelic folks quiet. We're doing something. You could have given the No Fallen Heroes Foundation that $1.5 million. I probably could have cleared our list. It's obscene. I'm ranting about this, leading the podcast with a rant, because today in the Military Times, suicides among veterans remain unchanged despite federal focus. 17.6 deaths per day. And of course, the government would use a decimal point when it comes to a human being taking their own life. And as you guys know, it's bullshit. Do you believe any number that comes out of the federal government? I've been looking at inflation and GDP and jobs numbers for the past year. You know, these numbers from the BLS. BLS used to stand for Bureau of Labor Statistics. It stood for the past 2 years Biden labor statistics. It was all bullshit. Anyway, so you guys know that I know that you know that America's Warrior Partnership a couple years ago with Duke University and the University of Alabama said that number is double. But even, let's just stick with Uncle Sam's 17.6 number. Folks, and I love the rest of the headline. It remains unchanged despite federal focus. Here's what you should focus on, feds. What you're clearly doing now isn't working. Stop it. I used to sit in the back of an F-18 Hornet, student in the front seat on a practice bombing mission. We called it Blue Death. We used these like 25-pound fake bombs. I had a bullseye drawn on my kneeboard card in the back seat. Student would roll in, plink, put a bomb. I'd put a little X on my bullseye, right? Where the clock position and the distance that bomb hit from the bullseye. If on the second pass, the guy rolled in and put a bomb pretty much in the same hole, now I'm going, okay. If on the third pass, we usually carried about 12 of these practice bombs. If on the third pass, that guy or gal rolled in and put another bomb near that one, I'd reach up to the front seat to choke them. Do something different. Move your aim point. Move it to the exact opposite where those other 2 or 3 bombs went, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, the federal focus is focused on the wrong things. How about, VA, you start focusing on stuff that is working? Me, my sister squadron, the Heroic Heart Project, or Justin Lepre, the Illuminating Company in Austin. Folks, I forget our total numbers since Top Gun Fighter Fashion No Fallen Heroes has been doing this. Probably 75 veterans, first responders, and family members have healed with these medicines. Transformative, saved, changed lives. Knock on wood, we haven't had a single person come back from a retreat and go, absolute waste of time. I'm worse. Things suck. That was awful. Not a single one. Have there been challenges? Yes. Are people having lows? Yes. But they're not spiraling down, and they know those lows pass and, oh, okay, I learned. Folks, this ain't easy. We call it work. You get home from doing the medicine, you got to put in the work. But anyway, I try and go on every retreat. If I can't, we're going to talk about the recent Colorado retreat at Mons Sauna in Buffalo Creek, Colorado. If I can't make it, I got a beautiful text from, we sponsored three folks at this new retreat center in Colorado. Beautiful text. Most of the retreats I don't make it on, I get beautiful texts. And let me just kind of paraphrase. Let me squeeze a lot of them in together into one statement. Whiz, I don't want to kill myself anymore. You can't put a price tag, a dollar. I can't. What does that mean to this world, to their families, to them? Whiz, I don't want to kill myself anymore. So to wake up this morning and read this fucking headline, despite federal focus, a lot of veterans are still checking out on their own. Stop doing what you're doing and do something new. This ain't fucking hard, people. And $1.5 million over 5 years to do a little study is disgusting. Whew. Thank you, God, for Donald Trump. And now if that made you drive off the road, you got problems, man. If Kamala Harris had won, who cares? Let's press forward. But the fact, I was wrong, man. I got it wrong. For the past 2-3 years going to D.C., I thought Democrats they're the pro-psychedelic party. Anti-war, anti-big pharma, mala beads, drug rug, psychedelics, man. Put it in the water. We're in bizarro world, man. The parties have shifted. In D.C., Democrats are pro-big pharma. What? They're pro-war. They might pay lip service to psychedelics. Oh, yeah, we support those. They're full of shit. It's the Republicans that are like, wait a minute. Congressman Morgan Luttrell, Dan Crenshaw, Ryan Zinke, just about every Republican veteran in Congress is super pro psychedelics. It's the Republicans that are like, wait, veterans are using this stuff to heal and they're going to foreign countries to do it? That's fucked. Didn't see Democrats doing that. Didn't hear a word from Kamala Harris or Joe Biden on this issue. So Donald Trump, I don't care. Love him or hate him, change is coming. RFK Jr. Watch the RFK Jr. clip on psychedelics. 2-3 minutes. Guy asked him, how do you feel about psychedelics? He said, well, I'm a recovering alcoholic. That sounds awful. Sounds like you're replacing one bad thing with another bad thing. And then my beautiful bride took her life, 2012, and I also lost my son. He was done when his mom left. Thought I lost my son too. He went to Peru, sat with the medicine, and I got my son back. So this is a man who went from anti-psychedelics and oh my God, awful, and to it saved my son's life. It gave me my son back. Having that guy at HHS, Pete Hegseth, love him or hate him, I don't give a shit. He was on the Sean Ryan podcast months ago. Could not be more pro-psychedelic. Sean Ryan laid on his, I went to Mexico, I did ibogaine at 5-MeO, dude, it saved my life. I don't drink anymore. I'm a healed human. This is the way. The Secretary of Defense nominee said, yeah, man, that sounds awesome. Vice President-elect Vance on Rogan. Rogan gave him a lecture on psychedelics and veterans. Now, some people were giving J.D. Vance shit, like a sitting senator doesn't know that these are Schedule 1 and some vets have been using them. Clearly, he didn't. He didn't even know. He's like, wow, that's what we're doing, folks. It's awareness. Instead of giving J.D. Vance shit about that, how about you credit him for listening to Joe Rogan going, well, why aren't, okay, thanks for the brief. Why aren't we doing something about that? Exactly. So love or hate the incoming administration, you got 4 years of it. I love it because it is change. It's not lip service. And you guys know me, or if you don't, this is your first podcast, lucky you, Merry Christmas. I will take a fucking flamethrower to Trump, Vance, Kennedy, whoever else, if they do not get on the ball with psychedelics. Was up at Trump National 3 weeks ago for a fundraiser with the McDavid's charities down here in South Florida. Great dude. Great guy. It's called Cops for Golf. Got up on stage, auctioned off a couple jet flights, got to brief the No Fallen Heroes mission and pitch, man, to essentially a room of law enforcement folks. It was great. I had a couple FBI agents at the table. I gave them a full brief. They're like, wow, sounds like, the guy's like, can I have your card? Active duty FBI agent. We're talking about a federal offense. And the guy's like, and I'm like, dude, who you work for is between you and God, man. If you need healing, we're here to potentially help you. In a room of law enforcement personnel, I got swamped when I got off the stage. Imagine if we could help heal our first responders, our Leos. Imagine a police officer showing up to a call full of empathy instead of apprehension, rage, anger, booze, or drug problems in the background. You want to reimagine? Hey, Democrats, you want to reimagine policing? Heal the fucking cops. Unbelievable. Anyway, great fundraiser for Cops for Golf. Tanya and the whole crew, thank you for having me. I love being at Trump National. I met Vince Papale. That was awesome. If you've never seen the movie Invincible with Mark Wahlberg, you got to watch it, man. Even if you hate the Eagles, like most people do. We love to be hated. You got to watch Invincible. It's a great movie. Just about a dude who walks on. He was a bartender in South Philly who walks on to the Eagles and plays for 3 seasons. It's great. And he was at the event. Lara Trump was there. No offense, man. It's so funny because a dinner with her and what's her husband's name? Eric. Like went for $110,000. Like it's a dinner for 8 with us, and I'm still friends. We do this just a little bit, and everybody's got my cell phone number. the Trump dynasty wants DeSantis to appoint her to the Senate here for Marco Rubio's seat. Fucking appoint me to the Senate, Governor. I have more experience than that lady. Just because she married into the Trump family doesn't mean she can be a U.S. Senator. Anyway, she's like, oh, yeah, this is a dinner with us, and I'm still friends with everybody. They get my cell phone number, and it went for like 110 fucking grand. Dinner. So I got up on stage, and the jet flight's going around 20, 25. So I stopped the auctioneer. I got up on stage. I'm like, are you shitting me? Somebody just paid, I think they doubled the dinner. She got up and said, if you match that price, we'll do two. I'm like, I got up on stage. Like, are you people insane? Spending $100 grand to go to a dinner to sit around and talk about politics? You can do that any fucking time. When's the next time you're ever going to have the opportunity to fly in a fighter jet and do what 0.001% of the population has done? I said, how about you fly in a fighter jet and then go to that dinner and brag about it? And then I dropped the mic and walked off stage, and I think we got double what we were hovering around. So, but it cracked me up. But like I said, got off the stage, was getting accosted by people like, can I have your card? I think I need help, or I know a buddy that needs help. They did a moment of silence. It was national news a month ago. A lady up in Palm Beach County swerved onto the shoulder and killed 3 Palm Beach County sheriff's officers. 3 of them. Merry Christmas. My God, that was a horror. That's our mission, man, to help those families too. I gave out my cards, and that was tough. A week later, Mar-a-Lago. Went to a fundraiser at Mar-a-Lago for our sister squadron called the Gray Team. The Gray Team is based here in Boca with Carrie. Great organization, great facility here in Boca. He said, hey, man, could we partner and auction off some jet flights up at our event next week at Mar-a-Lago? I'm like, yeah. It was packed. I didn't even have a seat. He's like, no offense, dude. We have like 1,000 people on the waiting list at $1,500. I mean, and the Secret Service and all sorts of shit. It's super tight. Can you just show up and do the jet flight auction? I'm like, fuck yeah, man. Showed up early. Man, Mar-a-Lago's a fortress now. Well, clearly. But got out there, and at cocktails, President-elect Trump did a drive-by. I mean, obviously it was a mob scene. Not pushing or everything that's meant to me or the people I'm supposed to meet, I will meet. I give it up to God and the Holy Spirit. But it was just cool. The president, it's his house, right? But anyway, he did a drive-by of cocktails, and then the auction went great. Right in front of me, a lot of you all know Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. He was a congressman. I think he might be deputy SecDef is what the rumor is, or a high person up in the DOD, which is great because he and I had a great talk. He's like, Whiz, I know about you. I know your mission, and you need help. I'm like, oh, great, dude. And that was before I heard afterwards. Somebody's like, oh, yeah, he's supposed to be Deputy Secretary of Defense or something. I'm like, oh, shit, hot. So it was good to connect with him. It was funny, though. He got up first to do auction off a day at the range with him, and it went for whatever, 35 grand. And he's like, I can't believe, some fighter guy up after me. He was some good-natured ribbing, man. And it was before the Army-Navy game. He's like, go Army, beat Navy. And, of course, I got out there and ripped him to shreds, too, man. It was funny. All out of love. But we got 2 jet flights at 50 grand each, which was just fantastic. Being able to brief my mission as soon as I told everybody in the crowd at Mar-a-Lago, our mission, again, swamped afterwards, ran out of business cards. I sat next to a neighbor. It was so funny. This lady's, oh, where do you live? Blah, blah, blah. She's like, oh my God, I live 2 blocks away from you. She's a Palm Beach County commissioner. And this is the way God and the universe works. Because as I told you, I didn't have a seat. There was no room. I was hanging out with the staff, and one of the Great Team staff members, he's like, dude, I'm running around the entire night. Go take my seat. So I took his seat for a little bit to eat a salad before I got up on stage, and that God put me in his seat for that reason. I talked to her and I said, why don't we work on decrim? Why don't we decriminalize psychedelics in Palm Beach County? She's like, oh, I didn't even think about that. I'm like, oh my God, man, Sacramento. I forget what Google says, the X amount of counties. There are a ton of counties in the U.S. Obviously, states, Oregon, Colorado, legal. I think Jersey decrimmed, but there's cities and counties all around the U.S. where it's decrimmed or even legal. She's like, here's my card. And Daniel and I have been trying to, do this. This is a moment. So Daniel Carcillo and I are meeting with this Palm Beach commissioner. She's like, I love it. She's like, I'm pretty sure the other Republicans on the Palm Beach County Commission, and she's like, you would think the Democrats are good to go, right? I'm like, you would think, so let's try. If we could decrim psychedelics in Palm Beach County, Florida, where the president lives, Mar-a-Lago's in Palm Beach, he's a resident of Palm Beach, that would be pretty cool. That would be national news. And we could start doing some healing retreats here, literally at home, hitting my mission objective of healing our heroes at home. So we're not even close to being done. Trump National, fundraiser, Mar-a-Lago fundraiser. I left Mar-a-Lago at 10 o'clock at night. I was out at the airport at 6 a.m. to 5-leg the jet up to Aspen, Colorado to support the Colorado Extreme and the NHL alumni game out at Carbondale. 5 legs out there, man. First of all, it's not an airline seat, right? It's an ejection seat. I got like an hour and a half ass. I have to haul ass, land, stretch, coffee, take a leak, and do the next leg. It's just not a comfortable. Sitting on a hard ejection seat sucks for that long. Think about it, folks. You can't have a cushion, right? Because in an ejection seat, if you had to eject, God forbid, and you had a cushion, it's called seat slap. The seat would squeeze that cushion in the blink of an eye and would break your femurs. You'd have God would really hate you in that moment, right? First of all, you're forced to eject for whatever reason, and you broke both your legs. So got to be flat. Your legs have to be flat on the seat. Why am I bringing up the flight out there? Because one of the most incredible moments of my life happened, right? Obviously marrying my bride and my 3 children are up there with my psychedelic experience. They're all up there. This is 1A. I flew over Buffalo Creek, Colorado, where 3 No Fallen Heroes grant recipients were sitting with the medicine. There's no way on God's green earth a young Lieutenant Whiz Buckley on the USS Kitty Hawk flying in Operation Southern Watch sortie over Iraq could have even thought into the future, imagined in the future that he'd be in his own fighter jet flying over a healing retreat where 3 veterans' lives are being saved and changed. Took a beautiful picture from, I put it in the group thread on WhatsApp. I'm like, folks, I was going to go hold space for that retreat. I was going to go hold space and then take the jet up to Aspen, but logistics failed on the back end and I had to take the jet up. But talk about a surreal moment, man. A little tear in my eye. I'm like, I can't believe this is happening. Very honored and humbled. Dr. Lance, I read the thread throughout. I saw the pictures. They sit with the medicine twice. They have sound bowl healing. They have yoga. They had equine therapy. That's this beautiful ranch in Buffalo Creek. It was, so I felt like I was there. But flying over a healing retreat in the No Fallen Heroes Foundation fighter jet was pretty cool. Big weekend in Aspen. I love Sheldon and the Colorado Extreme. His foundation gives, grants essentially to underprivileged kids the gift of hockey. Hockey ain't cheap, man. Go look at what a pair of skates cost, man. Holy crap. So went up there Friday night, man, top of Aspen. Sheldon got the top of Aspen. They had it all tricked out in the lodge. If you've ever been to the top of Aspen, it was in that lodge, man. It was fantastic. All the beautiful people and how I got in. It was great. Our brother Dustin Lynch was there, country music star, Henry Glenquist, obviously all the NHL greats, Obi, Scotty Upshaw, all those guys, man. It's just so cool. Bittersweet, right? I flew the jet up there by myself. Usually my son Matthew's in the trunk. That's the other good news I have to brief you on is my son Matthew is currently at Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio going through Air Force basic training. Very proud of my boy. He's rushing the Air Guard squadron up in Jacksonville because they're getting rid of their F-15 Eagles. They're transitioning F-35s. A lot of the old dudes ain't going to make the transition from the Eagle to the F-35, so potentially opening up a lot of pilot slots. And guard units usually hire from within. So if you're a guy or a gal in that unit, usually your application goes to the top of the stack. So could not be more proud of my son, Matthew. I don't know who the fuck is in charge of, I'll find out when I go to his graduation in a month. Whoever the general or colonel is, he's going to hear from Whiz here. Well, he scheduled basic training over Christmas. Susie's mortified. The first Christmas in 24 years, we're going to be without our boy. Well, it's the needs of the military. Well, yeah, we ain't at war right now, technically. It's just a little stupid. So my boy's going to be sitting in the barracks or something like that over Christmas. So that broke my heart. And then our boy Jack couldn't make it. He had finals up at Boulder at CU. And he's like, Dad, I have a final on Sunday. I can't. I'm like, all right, bud. So it's just me, Susie, and Kat, our operations assistant, handles all the jet flights and scheduling and all sorts of stuff. So it was a great weekend, but definitely missed my boys. And obviously it would have been great for Keely to come, but she just got cheerleading. So good event. Saturday, Sheldon moved the start time of the game up to like 3, which is great, daylight. So I got to do a little flyby. I love that the announcer said, thanks to the F-16s out at Buckley Air Force Base for the flyby. I'm like, you got one thing right out of that entire sentence, Buckley. But there is an Air Force Base in Colorado called Buckley that's got F-16s. But I would rather have, VD in my medical records than F-16 in my logbook. But it was awesome. Landed. And then went to Casa Tua that night and rubbed elbows with the beautiful people. And then Sunday, crack of dawn, out at Rifle, frost on the jet, freezing. I 5-legged it home to Florida. So, flying 10, 11 hours in that jet in 72 hours, it was a lot. But, man, if this is work, sign me up for the rest of my life to do it. I think we made a low 6 figures this month in donations just with the jet flights. But, 2025, folks, I really got to focus on, we can't just, use the jet for fundraising, man. That can't be our only thing. We got to do big live events. We're working with Elizabeth Posey up in Aspen to do a spring one up there and then a winter one down here in Boca, maybe a fly shoot race in Aspen because they have access to the Aspen Raceway, which is right off the departure end of the runway, and they're putting a shooting range on it. So we could have an afternoon of me doing donor flights, people shooting at the range, and also doing the race cars. I mean, just a whole thing. So 2025, I really have to focus on fundraising. So now you're up to date, man, from the VA, not even giving us change they found in their couch over 5 years, to the suicide numbers not going down, even though there's more federal focus on it. The only reason there's more federal focus on it is because organizations like ours are out here doing the work that the VA should do. Let me remind you of the mission objective of the No Fallen Heroes Foundation is to not exist. I don't get paid from the foundation. Susie doesn't get paid. Nobody gets paid except Kat and Matthew, a $1,000 or $2,000 a month as our ops assistants when they work. Nobody. We had to get rid of our only full-timer because it doesn't make economic sense. The money needs to go to people that are healing. So this ain't a job for me. Always raise a little bit of an eyebrow at so-called veteran nonprofits where the founders, this is their livelihood. Keep an eye on those type of people. Now, not throwing any shade, but I do public speaking. I own Top Gun Option. I have 90 other day jobs, so I don't need, I focus, maybe someday if I retire from all those other things and focus on the foundation, sure, I'll take a salary, but not, why now? I don't need it, man. Never take more than you need and give the rest away. So, good stuff going on. Let me give you a little 25 outlook. I had a great phone call this week with the executives at Live Entertainment. Kevin Berg, Google this guy's name, formerly of CBS. So Kevin Berg is coming on Live Entertainment as the CEO. The guy did all the NCISs. He did SEAL team. He did, I forget his whole resume. The dude's a massive dude in the entertainment industry. He's coming on board, and he is blown away by No Fallen Heroes Extraction. The call this week, they were already talking like season 3 and 4. I'm like, can we get like one done? When are we starting? So 2025 is going to be the year of No Fallen Heroes Extraction. We're going to start shooting our docuseries, just showing the plight of veterans, first responders, and their families, all the issues they're facing, and potentially healing with the medicine. It's going to be a great experience. I'm honored and humbled to be able to do this. If you are a veteran, first responder, or a family member who needs some help, come to us anyway. NoFallenHeroes.com. On the top right, on the drop down, it says grant request. Even if you can self-pay or partial pay, fill out that paperwork to get into our system. If you can self-pay, man, you're at the top of the list, obviously, which is good for you, but, sucks because we do have a long waiting list. Even a partial pay, man. But if you need a full grant, things just aren't good, we got you. But obviously there's a waiting list for those people. They also want to do a documentary or series. I don't know how many it'll be. It's called Flight to Fight. Going to take the jet around to, past Statue of Liberty, Mount Rushmore, I don't know, the St. Louis Arc, but flying around the United States, landing in different cities, having concerts there or fundraisers for veterans. It's going to be like a whole thing. I think they're getting with Gary Sinise to see if he wants to be on board. His foundation, we got Dustin Lynch that can perform. A lot of stars lining up. And then Kevin LaRosa, who was the aerial coordinator for Maverick, Devotion, and then the recent Blue Angels movie, the IMAX movie. Kevin's on board to film all the aviation stuff for us, which is going to be pretty cool. And I'm going to manifest this right now. Tom Cruise obviously is certified type rated in the L-39. Maybe he goes out in his, I go out in mine. We'll throw a couple vets in the back seat and we'll dogfight, for charity. Let's see if he can fight against a real Top Gun grad. He can pay me to throw it. I have no shame. So that'll be in 2025. And really, the bigger focus for me in 2025, I alluded to earlier, is fundraising. I suck at it, but, if people like Elizabeth Posey, that's their job. She said, I'd love to do fundraisers for you. I said, what do I need to do? And she's like, show up. She said, I got it. I'll take everything. So that's the type of people the universe, God, is kind of throwing into our orbit, and people are coming in that are supposed to be here. People that are floating out aren't supposed to be here, and that's fine. That's a good thing. Sometimes people aren't supposed to be on that bus with you, and they're happy on another bus. I'm happy when people are happy, and I'm sad when people are sad, and pray to help them out. Aside from the fundraising, my other biggest mission objective for 2025 is to heal our heroes at home. Very humbled and honored. You can check out my Instagram or my LinkedIn or anything. So next, let me pull it up here. So 2 weeks ago, let me find the exact headline. So let me look where it is, right there. So a couple weeks ago, this again was kind of like flying over a healing retreat in your own fighter jet where people are getting healing grants. Was a surreal moment. This one, the whole reason I started the No Fallen Heroes Foundation was on the cover of the Sunday New York Times. The Sunday New York Times is the shit, man. The reporter told me, he's like, no, they're putting this on the Sunday cover of the New York Times. Here's the headline: Top Gun Navy pilots fly at the extremes, their brains may suffer. A confidential Navy program is studying whether intense fighter jet operations can cause devastating brain injuries in flight crews. And the video they used in the story is my 1 versus 1 dogfight video, pulling 7.5 G's and just, very painful experience. Let's debrief that one first. Rosie, our chief medical officer, was featured in that as a Tomcat naval flight officer, and also Slider. You all know my brother Slider. If you don't know about Rosie or Slider, they both have. Rosie's got 2 podcasts on Max Afterburner. I think Slider's got 3 or 4, man, just because his story is it is pretty incredible, right? Slider had a weapons delivery go wrong in Iraq, took out 3 generations of innocent Iraqis, 12 people. It was international news, by the way. Suicide attempts, drugs. He's a different human being. He's healed. He works in Mexico now at Ambio Life Sciences as a facilitator, as a coach, putting the ladder down to help people heal. So the 2 aviators featured in that article are no fallen heroes, folks. The article also talks about 3 F-18 guys that have checked out on their own recently and interview, with the wife and people. Folks, it's not, the Navy loves Maverick. It loves Top Gun. It loves those movies, right? People beating down the doors of the recruiting office. The Navy ain't going to tell you, and my quote didn't make it into the article. I don't give a shit, but here's what I told the reporter. I'm like, man, I was a 27-year-old kid. I remember launching off the catapult. Was it the Lincoln or Kitty Hawk? Whichever carrier it was. First of all, the catapult shot, folks, is violent. You go 0 to 150, 200 miles an hour in a second and a half. The brain gets slammed to the back of your head, folks. I went out, did a dogfight, pulling G, sweating, fighting the jet on the edge of consciousness. Caveman, we weren't put on this planet to fly in a fighter jet, man. We're used to 1 G, 7.5 G's. Your body's not used to that. It can't be healthy fighting the jet on the edge of consciousness. And then coming into the break, about 600 knots, 600 feet behind the ship at the stern, just ask me, and then slamming onto an aircraft carrier. What's the force? Sit in your driveway, in your car, and have a crane take you up to the 2nd floor and then drop you. That's the force. It's never less, or you're not landing aboard the boat. This ain't a fucking airliner, folks. You have to have about 900 feet per minute rate of descent. Imagine, so that's the minimum force it is. A lot of the times it's more. The deck is pitching. The deck comes up as you're coming down. I've had landings before. I'm like, oh my God, did the struts go through the wings? I've hurt my back like on a landing, like, oh my God. It's not a joke when we say every landing aboard the aircraft carrier is a crash. It's a car crash. Just like an NFL player, man. Every tackle is a car collision. Over years and years of that, folks, do you think it's healthy? After that flight, I remember walking in the ready room sweaty and, heart racing like, holy shit. And I remember my flight surgeon just kind of shaking his head going, man, you guys don't want to know what all of this does to your body. Clearly, would I still signed up for it? Yeah. But maybe instead of lying on a bathroom floor in Fort Lauderdale suicidal, I could have known some of these things were coming and could have led turn the downturn. I could have stopped, or at least known these were all potentials, and I could have front-loaded treatment. Again, I will say I'm thankful for my suffering. It brought me to sitting on this podcast today, but man, it would have been a little bit easier if I had known about a lot more stuff, and I didn't. Oh, and by the way, that's just physical shit like that. I sat about a foot, maybe 2 feet, behind one of the most powerful transmitters, folks. Freaking F-50, Tomcat and Eagle guys and gals, man, those radars are like a billboard. You're sitting behind a radar emitting radiation. The DOD did a study a year or two ago. Aircrew, aviators, even those on the flight deck, have a higher incidence of cancer. Huh. than a normal veteran who's not in that environment. I remember every time I start up the Hornet on the boat, you could see one of the big radars swing around and you'd hear a little wheet as it swept past you. You heard it in your headset. And if you heard it, energy, it obviously was something that went through you. The suicide percentage of veterans diagnosed with cancer is 60% higher. 60% higher. A veteran diagnosed with cancer of checking out. So folks, seeing my video and a picture of Rosie in her flight jacket on the digital edition, obviously they have my dogfight video at the top and it says Matthew Buckley, No Fallen Heroes. But on the cover of the No Shit paper, the newspaper, it's Rosie in her flight jacket. Absolutely the pinnacle, folks. The aviation side of the house is starting to get recognized. A week later, a follow-up article came out. It was supposed to come out sooner, but some asshole shot a CEO, a healthcare CEO, on the streets of New York City, and then Syria fell. Can't even believe there's people in this country celebrating the murder of a guy who had 2 kids. These people have zero regard for human life. Is this how we're settling policy differences? If you think somebody is screwing somebody else, you just walk up and shoot him in the back. Celebrating this, man? I get it, folks. I get fucking insurance and healthcare and things suck. Thank you, Obama. Affordable Care Act, right? Obamacare. Murder. People celebrating murder. It's the same people that have no problem killing a child up to the moment of birth, but that's a separate conversation. A week later in the New York Times, seeking relief from brain injury, some veterans turn to psychedelics. 2 articles in the New York Times. I'm a Wall Street Journal guy, but clearly I'm a New York Times guy now. The reporter sent me a text. He's like, hey man, this one, we had your quote, but we ran out of space. It focused on SEAL Special Forces folks going down to the mission within. And Doc Martine, his picture's in the article. But the happiest part for me in that article was it just wasn't all SEALs and everything like that. It said veterans, including fighter pilots, are looking into these medicines. That is the first mention in national media about fighter pilots sitting with these medicines to potentially heal what's wrong. So coming in under the wire in December before we close out this year, those 2 articles in the New York Times just made my heart smile. My phone started blowing up. All my brothers and sisters who flew pointy nose airplanes are like, hey man, once you see that in print, it's elevating the conversation. I love it. My Instagram blows up. My texts blow up. Hey, Whiz, it's so-and-so. Remember me from the fleet? I'm kind of in a bad place. Fuck yeah, man. I've been there. How can I help? How can I be of service? We are elevating the conversation. We're getting there. If this were easy, it would have been done by now. It should be easy. 17.6 veterans. I love the 0.6. Uncle Sam, you couldn't have just rounded up and said 18. No, we went to 17 there because, it's not 18. It's 17.6. It's closer to 18 than 17. They probably fucking sat in a room at the VA and debated that number. We don't want to say 18. Let's keep it down around 17. It's closer to 44. That's a mass shooting every day in this country in the veteran community. There was a young troubled lady wherever it was in the Midwest and went to a Christian school, killed a teacher and a classmate and then herself. Breaking news, top of Fox, top of the Drudge Report, breaking news around. Just the CEO getting shot in the back. Absolute horror. It captivated the nation for a week. And then nothing in the veteran space. Could you imagine, let's just say a group of veterans, 17.6 veterans were sitting in a room every day and somebody walked in and shot them. this country would freak the fuck out. But since it's veterans, since it's not like a mass all in one spot, since it's not a sex, if it bleeds, it leads, here we are. Here we are. Me on a podcast trying to raise awareness. But thank you, New York Times, for featuring Rosie and Slider. Thank you for throwing my video at the top, so at least we got No Fallen Heroes in the New York Times. And, you know, I'm bullish, man. You know, for ranting and raving I've done during this podcast, clearly we're moving in the right direction. Even the 15 seconds of funding is something. I get it. You know, I'll 5% celebrate that and 95% give it shit. Washington is just so dysfunctional. We saw it with this continuing resolution. You guys didn't know this was coming? You waited till the last fucking minute, and now it's a 1,500 page full of bullshit spending package, and you're going to blame Elon Musk. Thank God for Elon Musk, man. Disinfectant. The guy is sunlight. Put light on all of this stuff. We the people are back, and we're pissed. Front page of the Journal yesterday. How the administration handled a diminished Biden, or whatever the headline was. Are you fucking kidding me, man? The guy was a ghost 2-3 years ago, the story says. Like, even when he was running in his basement, people are like, this guy ain't with it. They lied. They gaslit you. He runs circles around 20-year-old staff members. Well, those staff members should be fired. If an 80-something-year-old dude, clearly with dementia or something, is running circles around this, they lied to you. They lied. They stand up there and lie. The Pentagon yesterday, the 2-star Air Force general, who's a liar, we need to update some numbers of troop levels in Syria. It's actually double what we've been telling you. Oh, because some reporter was going to break that story. They just lie to you, folks. My phone was blowing up about the UAPs up in New Jersey and New York. And folks, this ain't hard. That weasel, he's such a weasel, John Kirby. I want to be a dentist. Kirby the elf, remember that guy? Rudolph. Folks, this ain't hard. When they say, these are legal, they're not foreign, and don't be alarmed. That means they're ours, folks. When they tell you everything they're not, but they won't tell you what they are, it's ours. I heard from a couple little birdies, and then I saw it in the media, so we could talk about it. Something's up there, folks. Either a dirty bomb, I don't know if it's a dirty nuke, or a biological or chem weapon, maybe was smuggled on a container ship or something into New York City or Jersey. They might be nuke sniffers, or NBC, nuclear biological chemical sniffers. I love the gaslighting. All the people in New Jersey and New York are idiots. Some are airliners, some are helicopter. No, man, people got like cell phone videos of like their fucking drones, like a car-sized drone zipping around. So the gaslighting that this government does is obscene. And I, for one, am digging this disinfectant and the sunlight. Release the Epstein list. I mean, just everything. What is sexist? Where's all the feminists? The only person that went to jail, I mean, the dude hung himself, air quotes, but the only other person that went to jail for the Epstein bullshit was the lady who like brought the, was a facilitator for the women type of thing. Where are the men? Where are the men? Talk about a patriarchy. Where's everybody freaking out like, well, it's probably because Bill Gates, all these powerful men are on the list. Oh, okay. Anyway, I don't want to end on that type of bullshit. Very bullish for 2025, from Donald Trump to J.D. Vance to RFK to Pete Hegseth. I met Mike, what's his name? The guy that's going to be the national security advisor. I met him a couple weeks ago up in Palm Beach, gave him my card, gave him a quick brief about the foundation, and he loved it. He's like, wow, I've been hearing about this stuff. Morgan Luttrell, my fellow congressman, he talks bullish about it. So, again, I'm bullish, but I'm not going to believe it until I see it. We need action. Enough talk. We're done talking. We will press forward with our mission. I can attack in parallel, right? Our next retreat is coming up mid-January, back out there it's called Mons Sauna out in Colorado. And then I think the first week out in Oregon with Daniel. And then hopefully the docuseries with Liv. I think we might go back to the Mission Within. Well, when I went down there with Sledge and Stas and Slider and Bart, it's just a great place. I love Doc Martine. It's just a beautiful location. Love the house. It's like right out of central casting. But we'll continue to support our sister squadrons. Kid and Rosie actually went out to L.A. about 3 weeks ago to support the Heroic Hearts Project. I love my brother Jesse and the work that they do. So ain't no such thing as competition in this space. It's about cooperation. So I'm up for cooperating with any like-minded, aligned organization in this space that is putting the ladder down to save and change lives. There is no more noble purpose. There is no more noble calling than helping your fellow woman and helping your fellow man. Got to ask you, please consider donating to the No Fallen Heroes Foundation. Do it before the end of the year. Do it on my birthday, man. My birthday is December 31st, 1968, unfortunately. And you know what I learned a couple years ago? This will creep you out. I learned, second half of my life that my birthday being on December 31st, I could never say my birthday's next year. And it's funny because we go out to, family dinner every New Year's Eve type of thing, and Keely hates it. I think she understands it now, but she used to never get it. She's like, wait, it's not. I'm like, no, today is December 31st. When's my birthday? Today. Tomorrow, January 1st, when's my birthday? This year. She hated that, right? So do it before my birthday, man. Whatever you can spare. Every shekel helps, man, to fund a healing grant. This ain't cheap, folks. The Mission Within, Ambio, I think it's like $6,500, man, because there's EKGs, there's IVs, there's, a couple medicines, there's nurses, there's cardiologists. So it's not cheap. We can knock that in half, maybe down to $2,500 when we do our retreats in Colorado or Oregon, but it's also not ibogaine. There's, and also not toad. So it's a little less expensive here in the States, but it's not the full Monty. I mean, hell, down in Mexico, there's a retreat center called Beyond, BEOND, that's double, Ambio and the Mission Within. I think it's like $15,000. But it's Jordan Belfort went there, the Wolf of Wall Street. He's like, it's like a 5-diamond type of retreat place. But going to work on getting costs down so we can treat more heroes. Hey, anybody from the VA, if you're listening to this podcast, I'd be shocked. But, the headline that says, hey, suicide staying at the level it's at, even though we're looking at it more. Doesn't give a shit if you're looking at it, man. You're not doing the right things. There are organizations out here on the front lines putting in the work, and we are actually seeing the results. I am seeing the results. Whiz, I don't want to kill myself anymore. Or when I'm on a retreat, giving somebody a hug when the retreat's over with, and they are just completely different human beings than they were 3-4 days before. Okay? Either this is all the truth, or we're all full of shit. Thousands and thousands of veterans are full of shit. Who would you rather believe? Okay. So again, very bullish for the year. We're going to need your help. It's going to be a very big year here for the No Fallen Heroes Foundation. Consider donating. If we do have some, when we do have some fundraisers, come. I'd love to meet you in person. Hopefully we do one up in Aspen in the spring or summer, and then one in the winter down here in God's Waiting Room in Boca Raton, or maybe up in Mar-a-Lago, because that was a great venue too. But very blessed, very humbled, very honored to be doing this work. And if this is work, sign me up for the rest of my life. Have a great rest of your day. Have a Merry Christmas. If I don't talk to you beforehand, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, winter solstice. It's that time of the year where just about everybody on this planet looks around and says, thank you to something greater than me. Thank you for my blessings. So Merry Christmas from the Buckleys and the No Fallen Heroes Foundation to all of you. Have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you're hedged. Fights on. Namaste and Basi Basi. Whiz out.